Have you ever gotten an email from a colleague who got featured in this amazing publication and you wish that you had that kind of connection to get that credibility? Maybe there's somebody who has one of those really awesome as seen on logos on their website that they were featured in Forbes or Time or the Wall Street Journal, and you're like, I don't know how to get myself into these publications. I don't have a cousin who works for Fox News. I don't have a sorority sister who works at entrepreneur.com. Or maybe I do, but she was in a different chapter. So if there are any AFIs out there who want to interview me, let me know. But if you don't feel like you have these personal connections to journalists and you don't know what it is that they would want to write about, but you still want those amazing backlinks and logos to fill up your website, you want really great things to showcase your expertise on your media page, then I have good news for you. There's a free service that you can pitch yourself to journalists really easily, get some amazing high quality backlinks in only a couple minutes a day. So I'll show you right after this. Today, I'm going to be talking all about Haro, which stands for Help a Reporter Out. It's a website where journalists are able to share the topics that they're working on for their articles, that bloggers are able to share the things that they want to get information from experts on, and then they'll send out emails and you can say, I'm an expert on that. I'd be happy to be featured in that article. So instead of you needing to go out, find journalists, figure out what to pitch them, come up with your own pitch, write it yourself, and then write an entire article, this is a way that you can get featured and get that backlink without needing to generate new ideas. Some of these sites can be pretty small and niche, which is great if you want to be found by a niche audience. And some of them are huge publications like Entrepreneur, Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Times. Many of these sites have journalists that are working across multiple media platforms and always are looking for new expert sources for their articles. So what do you need to do in order to get this PR? Well, first, go to helpareporter.com and sign up. You're going to click that you are a source. You're going to fill out some information about your business. And then every day you'll get 3 emails a day that will walk through all of the various journalists and writers and bloggers who have specific questions that they're looking for experts on. There are some categories that these fit into: biotech or business or entertainment or lifestyle, health and wellness. And you can get hundreds and hundreds of these queries every day. It can actually be a little bit overwhelming, so I'll give some tips at the end about how you can make the most of these queries, but let's go take a look at what they look like. So we're here looking at my inbox. You can see that I have looked for any query that starts with Haro or includes Haro, and here's what it looks like. Every day you get 3 emails, morning, afternoon, and evening. And so let's take a look at this most recent set of queries. You can see that we've got different sections here: biotech and healthcare, business and finance, fitness, public policy, travel. If you're only interested in some of these categories, you can go into your Haro settings and say, I only want the Haro queries that are about travel. And that will narrow down so that way you only get these 5, which can be less overwhelming. I'm a pediatrician and I only want to get queries that include the word pediatrician. So you can be that specific in the way that you filter it in your inbox. At the top of the emails, they have sort of this index or table of contents. And then if you see something that you're curious about, you can just click right down to it. And then you can go back to the top or back to that category. So that way you can move back and forth around this and not get quite so overwhelmed by, dozens and dozens of queries a day. So when you see a Haro query that is something that you are really qualified to answer, here are some tips to make sure that your pitch gets taken and used in that article. Number 1, answer quickly. These journalists and writers get hundreds and hundreds of these pitches to work through. So the faster you are to reply to these topics, the more likely you are to get noticed in the top of the pile. Also, pay attention to the deadlines that are on this. There have been times where I've seen something and the deadline has passed and I spend time writing a pitch and then it doesn't even get to the journalist. So make sure that you pay attention to when that email address will basically turn off and those writers are no longer accepting submissions. Don't waste your time on submissions that have already expired. You really have to be pretty quick about replying to these things. Number 2, make it clear in the subject line which query you're answering. So I actually like to just copy and paste the topic that people said that they're looking for and say brackets Haro and then whatever that topic is. Many of these writers are working on multiple articles at the same time. So if you can make it easy for them to figure out exactly which of their questions you're answering, you'll be more likely to be included in that publication. You also want to answer the question concisely and make sure that it's the exact question that they're asking. You don't have to give your life story. You just want something that they can very easily copy and paste and put into their article. Write it as if you've already been selected and you were just answering the question that they're asking. I would say try to keep it to 2 to 3 sentences max. And make sure that the answer that you're giving is different and unique from what you think everyone else will say. Remember that these journalists are getting hundreds and hundreds of replies really quickly, so you want to find a solution that stands out and an answer that's different than the other hundreds of answers that they're getting, and then you'll be more likely to be included. Don't be obvious. Be a little bit outside of the box. You also want to check your grammar and spell check it before you send. The last thing that these journalists need is to make sense of what it is that you're trying to say. So instead, make sure that it's something that would pass the spell check, that they know what you're talking about, and that it is really easy for them to just copy and paste it directly into their publication. And include all the information that they've asked for. If they ask for your website, for a headshot, for your social media accounts, include what they're asking for, especially when it comes to ways that they can link back to you. If they ask for your website, that means they might link to your website. If they ask for your social media, that means they might link to your social media and you can see a bump in your number of followers. So it's to your benefit to make sure that you're including all the information that they're asking for, ideally in a really simple way. So instead of attaching a giant headshot, include a link to a media page where they can download their favorite headshots from you. So I'm looking through the Haro for today, and here's one that's really interesting to me: the most common SEO mistakes that you see on the internet. And so I'm going to click down, I'm going to read through it. Okay, it's due at 7 o'clock tonight and it's 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's not overdue. I don't know what the media outlet is, so I'm not totally sure if this is a good fit, but it's a pretty easy question for me to answer. It's just looking for SEO professionals, hey, that's me, to feature in an article about SEO mistakes. So let us know what are common SEO mistakes. They even say avoid basic ones like don't forget to do your alt text, right? They want things that are a little bit more interesting. They're asking that it's people who are SEO experts that either work in-house, they're agencies, freelancers, or consultants. So I'm a good fit for this. So I've already written it up. Here are my 3 examples. You can see I wrote Haro at the top, so they know I'm responding to that. SEO mistakes. And then I just kind of said, here are a couple of them, and wrote 3. So that way they can choose something that fits in their article without necessarily needing to rewrite anything. I spell checked it. I made sure that it was all in good shape. Oh, tier. Not there, see? And then it also says mention your name, position, company, and a link to your website. So name, position, company, and link to my website. I just answered the question as clearly as I could, and I'm gonna send it. Hooray! And the cool thing about Haro is that after you've been featured in specific publications, those journalists may just start to reach out to you directly. So if you've been featured somewhere and they know that you're a credible source and that you were fast to reply to things, in the future they may just reach out. I've also seen that certain publications that I've been featured in then add me to their own roundup posts and say, here are the things we're publishing this week. Do you have specific things you want to include in this? So that can be a great way to get multiple links from a credible high domain authority source. Now, getting 3 emails a day, each of which has, 60 to 100 links in it, can be really overwhelming. You can set up an email filter that will just take all of those Haro requests and put them into a folder, and then maybe just say anytime that it has this particular phrase in it, bring it back to my inbox. And that way you're only paying attention to specific queries that might be directly relevant to you. However, I personally like to look through all of the queries whenever I open them up, because sometimes I'll take something and send it to a client, send it to a friend, find a way to reach out to a prospect and say, hey, I know that this is your expertise. This would be a great opportunity for you. It's a really good way to touch base with other people. And also, a lot of times the queries that I want want to reply to are about digital marketing, not specifically about SEO. And so if I had a filter that just told me when people were asking questions about SEO, I might miss the queries about digital marketing, or the queries about running a business from home, or running a business with little kids around, or hiring practices, or other things that are relevant to being an entrepreneur that aren't specific to SEO. Now, there's another one down here that's not specifically about SEO. It's more about small business marketing tips. And we already know the media source here. This one has a much tighter deadline. Instead of being 7 p.m., it's 9 a.m. So I've got 3 hours to get this one in. By the time the next Haro comes out, this one will be expired because it's so generic, right? Because they expect so many more people to fill this one in, they can make it a quick 4-hour turnaround here. So looking for quotes regarding small businesses, any top tips or success stories, lessons learned, media channels, marketing professionals with experience working with small businesses. So this is going to be much more competitive of a topic, but probably also a much larger media outlet. So in this case, because people are giving lots of different marketing tips, I may want to write something about how SEO is a great media channel because it is something that you don't have to do every day. So that's also an option too. So it doesn't just have to be the ones that are hyper specific to what it is that my specialty is. If you thought this video was helpful, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel for more tips about how to make digital marketing work better for you, and I'll be back next week with more SEO tips. See you then.